Hello, 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 and welcome to the High Altitude Investing live stream. Today is the 29th of May, and I'm super excited to be here today talking about crypto, my favorite subject. Oh, well, pretty much my favorite subject in the world. Few things top crypto. Let's go ahead and post here in the announcements channel on Discord. And we'll get started here. I know I normally live stream on Saturdays, and I'll probably still do a live stream this coming Saturday. But I figured, hey, I've got some time today and might as well do a live stream here on Thursday and talk about the markets, because crypto is about to do something that few are expecting. A lot of people are not watching for this kind of a scenario. So I want to kind of elaborate on some of the things I'm seeing in the market and some different potentials for the crypto markets. And yeah, let's go ahead and get started here. Welcome everybody. Thank you for tuning in. Hello, man from France. Hey, what's up? Thank you for tuning in to today's live stream. So yeah, Bitcoin is getting ready for some interesting things. As you can see, we do have a lower high here on Bitcoin on the daily candlesticks, so we were unable to break above this resistance up here at 111,000 per coin. And then we felled the support level right here at around 107,000 per coin, and this is totally expected, by the way. This is no surprise in the slightest. If you guys don't know about the moon phase, you should definitely look into this. Crypto does have a tendency to go down during a new moon and up during a full moon. So as you can see here, we have a full moon right here and crypto went up. A new moon right here, crypto went down. Full moon right here, crypto went up for a good majority of it. A new moon right here and it went down. Full moon it went up. So there is a pretty high probability that during a new moon crypto will go down. Now obviously this is not 100% of the time or anything like that, but there absolutely is a strong connection between the moon phase and crypto. And if you don't know about W.D. Gann, definitely go look up W.D. Gann. He was a stock market trader in the 1900s, and he made millions of dollars back in the 1900s. I believe he made $30 million, which would be like hundreds of millions in today's money, trading in the stock market. And he used time cycles, so he was paying attention to the time cycle, but he was also paying attention to planetary alignments. So although I'm not into astrology and making content or anything around crypto and astrology, there definitely is a connection between the planetary alignments and what happens in crypto. It's 100% measurable and real, and some of the best traders in the world have used this in their strategy. So just something to be aware of, right? So Bitcoin is pulling back a little bit here. This is something I talked about in my last live stream. I said, hey, you guys, on the 26th of May, we were going into a new moon cycle, and crypto could pull back as a result of that. And also, by the way, support and resistance is a zone. So we can take our support and resistance tool. I just like to use the rectangle tool here. And you can draw a resistance level here and count all of this area up here as a resistance zone. So we're at resistance right now with crypto. So it wouldn't surprise me at all to see a little bit more of a pullback here in the crypto markets, for us to come back down a little bit lower here. I'm not calling for a big bear market or some crazy move. Some people are getting a little bit crazy. So here's a couple things that I'm seeing. I'm seeing a lot of people that are calling for like a double top scenario on the crypto markets, where basically what happens is this turns into a big double top, kind of like what happened to crypto back in 2021. So if we pull up our chart over here, we'll pull up We'll pull up Bitcoin over here on the right and we'll take a look at Bitcoin. So there's quite a few people that are trying to call for like a double top scenario like this, right? I see this quite a bit. Now, I don't personally see any validity in this. There's a completely different market structure happening in the market right now in terms of the bigger picture cycle, in terms of what's happening in this market, in terms of conditions and what's happening with crypto. It's a very different landscape than what happened over here in 2022 when the whole FTX situation happened and there was a huge double top. But I am seeing people post about this. So I wanted to address this because I don't see this as being a valid view on the market. This is not what I'm expecting. I don't see Bitcoin or the crypto markets coming back down for a new low and having some big crash up here in a double top kind of scenario like some people are calling for. That's not what I see coming in the markets, but I do see the potential for a correction, a healthy little correction. We're not talking about 50% of the market getting taken away or anything crazy, but just a healthy correction in the crypto market. So this is what that could look like. This is what I personally think is coming for the crypto markets. So what I see coming for crypto, let's take our support tool over here and we'll draw a support level right here. I'll change it to green so you can understand. What is up, everybody? Summer, thank you for tuning in. Stoic Pioneers, thank you for tuning in, my friend. My Parfum says, speak about our favorite coin, Theta. Absolutely, I will talk about Theta here in just a minute. Rico Hawk, good day, Dallin. Thank you, my friend. Thoughts on Casper? Yeah, we can talk about that in just a minute. I want to finish talking about the Bitcoin scenarios here for you guys. Louis D, LFG to Mars. Yeah, let's go, man. I agree 100%. Toshi is going to be a hit. You know, Douglas, I actually do really like the Toshi chart as well. Dark Horse, what is up? Thank you for waving at me here in the live stream. And yes, I will cover Theta in just a second. Epic finally made it on a live. Well, thank you for tuning in. I'm glad that our time schedules lined up this time and you're able to tune in to one of my live streams. It's a lot of fun to do these. So just bought 1,000 Theta. Let's do this. Well, nice, Dark Horse. I love to see when people are buying crypto. Okay, all right, let's finish our Bitcoin analysis. I see quite a few requests here. So let's finish that and then we can go ahead and talk about other cryptos. So some people are calling for a big correction. I'm personally not. I don't see it in the charts. There's a lot bigger of an uptrend going on right now that's very strong that you don't want to fight. Calling a double top up here, ridiculous. I don't see that as a valid view on the market, but I do see a lot of noobs, a lot of people that think they know what they're doing, trying to call a double top like what happened in 21 and 22. And I just don't see it in the market. So I just wanted to quickly address that, right? But what I do see as a possibility is a pullback to one of these two support levels. So we have a support level right here on Bitcoin at 102,000-ish right here. And we have a support level right here on Bitcoin at 94. Now, this would be the ultimate, like, if things got really scary, people started to freak out, we could go this low. I don't think we will go down here to 95K. I don't see that as happening. But I could see us pulling back a little bit lower right here, coming back down to support, and going back up for a new all-time high. So that's kind of my view on Bitcoin. Now, this is I'm not showing you this scenario so you guys can freak out and sell all the crypto that you've been buying and be afraid and, oh no, Dallin says the markets could go down. The only reason I bring this up is to increase your awareness of what's possible in the market in the short term. So if it starts to drop and then all of these people start posting a bunch of bearish charts and everybody starts freaking out, you know what to do. You know not to go, oh, the market's going to crash and then sell all your crypto and the market's going to recover, right? I don't see this as being a large correction that we're seeing in the market, but I did want to make you aware of it so that when all the fear, all the FUD, and all the other people out there start freaking out and calling for some massive correction, you're able to stay level-headed and hold on to your positions. So yeah, that's my view on Bitcoin. Let's go ahead and talk about the other coins. Let's pull up Theta here as requested in the chat box. So I did make a video about Theta a couple days ago. Make sure you go check that out. I do have a pretty good video about Theta. I made it 2 days ago. If you haven't watched it, definitely go watch it, right? So here is Theta on the 8-day time frame. And I want to show you guys here zoomed in a little bit here. Not because we're going to go out to even a bigger time frame and talk about what's happening for Theta on the bigger time frame. But let's stay zoomed in just a little bit. Even though we're on the 8-day, we're kind of zoomed in just a little bit, right? What I want to show you guys is just how fast Theta can recover here. Now, it's not going to just do this, right? The market's not just going to go like that. It could go like this. I have seen markets go like that, like pretty strong recoveries. But what I think is going to happen for Theta is a little bit more of a sustained recovery. So within a year or two, we could be at or around our old all-time high. In fact, within a year from now, it's possible for us to be at our old all-time high for Theta. A lot of people were asking me that because I showed Theta going to $260 by 2029, and people were like, well, what is it going to happen in the next year or two? I don't want to wait until 2029. And that's in my video, I went into depth about that a little bit, but on my X account, a lot of people were like, Dallin, what are you saying? This is why do I have to wait till 2029 to get rich? No, I'm not saying it's just going to go sideways and then all of a sudden go to $260 by 2029. I'm saying it's going to steadily uptrend from now until 2029 and go more and more parabolic as price gets higher and higher, especially above our old all-time high over here at $15. And then by 2029, my max target for Theta is 260. Now, I'm not going to try to say that I'm some prophet, because obviously the price of Theta could go higher or it could top out lower than $260. But by 2029, I personally see this market as being able to hit $260 per coin. Like, that's possible. So that's kind of my view on Theta in the bigger picture, that we will go up towards $260 by 2029, but in the near future, within the next year, maximum 2 years, I could see us at or above our old all-time high. So that kind of clarifies for the people that were wondering. I am bullish on Theta even in the next year in a very big way. So just be aware of that, right? Markets, they can recover pretty quickly. Let's go to the 1 month time frame here. And we're going to pull up Ethereum over here on the right. And I'll show you just how fast the market can recover. Because sometimes it does happen really fast. It can look completely dead, totally done for, never going to recover. And then all of a sudden, in a year's worth of time or 6 months worth of time, the market's at a new all-time high. If you look at Ethereum over here on the right, I was here. Well, first of all, I was here when Ethereum got added to Poloniex back in 2015 or 16. I'm trying to remember, somewhere around there. So I watched Ethereum go down to like 40 cents. So I've seen Ethereum's fractals all the way through from its inception to where it's at right now, right? So I have this chart down in my mind pretty clear. And I've seen the way that it's recovered, the way that it's had bear markets and come out of them. And here in 2018 and 2019 and 2020, I was here through that whole period where Ethereum came down. Over 80% it came down. And a lot of people did not expect it to recover. If you take the replay tool and you look at Ethereum right here, I mean, that's not exactly something that people that don't understand market cycles is going to get excited about. They're going to see that and they're going to go, that thing crashed so hard it's not going to recover, right? That's a pretty typical average response from somebody. But look what happened to the market. The market not only recovered, but it recovered in a very, very big way. It went completely parabolic all the way to a new all-time high in a very, very short period of time. It just started breaking out over here, broke above local resistance, and then all of a sudden, out of nowhere in the period of like 6 months to a year, Ethereum was all the way to a new all-time high. It happened so fast, right? Super, super quick. The market recovered. So markets can recover even after looking like they're dead, even after looking like, oh, this thing is done for. There's nothing to this. It's just a dead coin. And that would be what I have to say to the Theta holders. The market can recover very quickly. So that's what Theta could look like if it recovers very quickly, kind of more like how Ethereum did. If it recovers more like how Bitcoin did in 2016, then that's a little bit of a longer, still a pretty fast recovery with a lot of strength and confidence, where the market did recover fast in a big way, making higher highs and higher lows, but not quite as unsustainable as what happened to Ethereum over there in 2020 and 2021, right, when it recovered pretty quickly. So here's Bitcoin over here on the right, and you can see Bitcoin did a similar pattern as Theta as well, same kind of market cycle, but it took a little bit more time to build momentum. It wasn't as unsustainable, and in fact, the bull market, because of that, lasted a lot longer. You can see the bull market that happened once it broke above its old all-time high actually lasted longer and was more sustainable than what happened to Ethereum that just broke out all of a sudden and just went parabolic. So in a way, it's actually good because both of them recover in a big way and both of them recover fairly quickly, but the one that recovers faster is less sustainable and led to a bear market a lot faster than Bitcoin over here that recovered in a little bit more of a sustainable way, but had a bigger and a longer bull market because of it. So I think Theta is going to have a strong recovery. It's just a question is whether it's a shorter one like Ethereum that just breaks out in an unsustainable sort of way, or whether it's a faster recovery like Bitcoin that leads to a more sustained uptrend. And I'm leaning more towards the Bitcoin scenario than the Ethereum scenario. So that's my view on Theta. Okay, let's do Casper. I've got quite a few of these to catch up. And unfortunately, you guys, I do have a class thing that I'm going to. It's called Institute. And it's basically like you learn all about Jesus Christ for like an hour and a half. And it's one of my favorite things ever to do. And that's at 5:30. So I won't be able to stream for as long as I normally do, which is usually like an hour and 15 minutes. But I'll get as many of these coins as I possibly can in today's live stream for you guys that you're requesting here. Pull up Casper here. Casper. OKX. Well, that's not very much data either. There just really isn't a lot of data on Casper anywhere. You can't get a lot of good data, a lot of historical data. So this is actually pretty typical. If a coin gets released during a bear market, so like, for example, ADA. ADA got released right at the very end of a bear market in 2018. So it like came out in like late 2017, and then the bear market started in 2018. So ADA kind of pumped a little bit, then had this massive bear market right after it got created, released, and publicly traded for people, available on public exchanges, right? So Casper came out like right at the beginning of a bear market. So it's pretty typical for a coin that's getting released to the public to have this kind of a correction, because when the whole crypto markets are going down because of a bear market, crypto follows each other. And if people are excited about crypto as a whole, all of those coins follow each other. So it's pretty typical for this to happen, for a coin to get released during a bear market and for it to crash, because all the cryptos follow each other. So you just have to understand that, right? So that doesn't mean that Casper is like a bad coin because it's been in a downtrend. What it means is it got released during a massive crypto bear market in 2022 where everything dropped 80 to 90%. It has nothing to do with the quality of Casper to see it in a downtrend here. So it's important to understand that. The other thing that you can see with this coin is we do have volume coming in a pretty big way here. We have pretty big volume spikes down here. You can see this was 16 billion Casper tokens traded on the monthly candlestick here in November of last year. So that's a pretty big volume spike for Casper. Now let's turn on the MACD and check out maybe like on the weekly time frame and see if we have any bullish divergence on this coin. Yes, we do. So we have bullish divergence forming on Casper here on the monthly candlesticks as well. So, or no, wait, yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Okay, cool. I was like, wait, do we? But we do. So you can see this big lower low in price, huge lower low, and on the weekly candlesticks, did I say monthly? I meant weekly if I said monthly. And we have a higher low on the MACD. So that's bullish divergence here, a very common pattern to occur when a market is ready to reverse its downtrend and turn into an uptrend. A lot of times you will see bullish divergence stretched out over long periods like this. This is over a couple years. On like the weekly or the monthly time frame, you will see that kind of bullish divergence. So that's really good for this coin. We also see the beginnings of a potential double bottom here, where we have two volume spikes along with a low right here and a potential secondary low right here. So if we can get above this level of 2.6 cents, that could paint in a local bottom here for Casper and would show that this coin could easily see a strong reversal here up through all of this resistance right here and start a nice uptrend. So it does look really good here soon enough, sooner rather than later. This should turn around and start a nice uptrend. Litecoin, let's run over Litecoin. LTC. Okay. So my favorite thing to do with Litecoin is to go over to the Bitfinex chart, because if you go over to the Bitstamp chart or you look at it on Binance, you're not going to get the data that you need to be able to see the whole chart. Bitfinex actually goes all the way back, so this is the best one to use. Now, this is not where you want to do volume analysis on Litecoin, because there's like no volume on Bitfinex. So if you're looking at volume, go over to Binance or Coinbase, because you're going to get the most accurate reflection of volume. But if you're just looking at the whole chart to get historical data of price, definitely go to the Bitfinex chart, and that's where you're going to see the most data if you're using TradingView. Some of you guys look at these coins on like Coinbase or different places, but if you're using TradingView, look for the Bitfinex chart if you want to do historical price. So you can see here with Litecoin, we do have a very, very long cycle here, starting all the way back to 2017. So actually this whole thing right here is a cycle. It's an accumulation cycle. And yes, we did have two cycles inside of that cycle. You can see two bull markets and bear markets there inside of the cycle. But all of this is a big accumulation cycle. Just like how if you zoom into Litecoin right here and you look at all of this right here, this is all a big accumulation cycle on Litecoin. Back the early day cycle right here. This is all one big accumulation cycle. Now the pump right here is not near as big, but there's still a bull market, a bear market, and then a pump and a dump right there, right? You can see that little one right there. So that's an accumulation cycle. Now the reason I bring that up is because a lot of people don't understand what can happen as a result of these accumulation cycles. And one of the things to understand is these accumulation cycles, if they're big and they're long like this, it's going to lead to a big sustained bull market as a result of that. So let's pull up Nvidia and I'll show you what it looks like when you have a bigger picture accumulation cycle and you break out of it. So here is Nvidia right here, and we'll increase time frame so you can see it better, a little clearer chart. There we go. And here with Nvidia, you can see that over the period of like 15 years, Nvidia had a bull market and a bear market and a bull market and a bear market. But what that did was it created a big accumulation, a multi-year, 15-year accumulation with Nvidia, where it was just being accumulated by big institutions, by people that believed in their technology. And you can see what happened as a result of that multi-year accumulation was a huge bull market. It broke out into a massive bull market, something that was bigger than the first pump or the second pump inside of that accumulation cycle. So it led to a more sustained bull market after that accumulation cycle finished. And if you look at Litecoin, it really is the same structure in the market. So what I see happening here for Litecoin is a breakout above its old all-time highs over here, just like what happened to Nvidia, and a bigger picture, more sustained uptrend as a result of that. So it's important to understand that, because a lot of people see something like Litecoin and they either think, oh, it's not going to see another bull market, it just keeps getting rejected every time it tries to go up, or they think it's just going to do the same thing again and go right up again and just crash again. Like it's just going to go like a sine wave forever. Or I guess that would look more like a saw wave. But you see what I'm saying? And if you understand the accumulation cycle, then it gives you more insight as to what could happen in the bigger picture during a mass adoption phase, which is what's coming for crypto. We have all of everything set up for a mass adoption phase for the crypto markets. So that's my view on Litecoin, a break above these old all-time high levels and a more sustained uptrend that continues instead of just pumps and then dumps like we saw the last two cycles. Stronghold. Let's do Stronghold. Stronghold. SHX. And pull this chart up here for Stronghold. So this looks like a running flat. I believe this is a running flat Elliott wave structure. So let's pull up our 3-day time frame and I'll show you a little bit about Elliott waves here. Elliott wave. Running flat. Yeah, here we go. Not an expanded flat, but a running flat. So the way that a running flat works is you have wave A, wave B, and wave C, but instead of wave C going down really far, like you see with a normal ABC correction, it just goes like this. So this is what a running flat looks like right here. We'll So that's a running flat correction. Here is an expanded flat correction. And here is a regular ABC zigzag correction. So those are the three types of corrections that you see in terms of Elliott waves inside of the crypto markets most of the time. There are a couple other ones that are a little bit more rare, but these are the three most common types of corrections that you see in the crypto market. So this is running flat, expanded flat, and zigzag correction. The zigzag is probably the most common, but these other two have gone more common as bigger institutions have gone into crypto because they screw a lot of people over. A lot of people don't understand the market structure on these two, and they end up buying wave B a lot of times and selling the bottom of wave C, so it screws a lot of people over. So bigger institutions, since they've gone into the market, it seems like we're seeing these two a lot more than originally, which crypto pretty much only did zigzags back in the day. So this is a running flat correction, wave A, wave B, and wave C. And basically what that constitutes is wave 1 and wave 2 here for Stronghold. And this is a coin I've actually gotten a lot of requests to make a video about. So if you guys do want me to make a video about Stronghold, let me know, and I'd love to go in depth about my views of this coin. But this would constitute basically wave 1, wave 2, and we'd be looking for a wave 3 up to a new all-time high on this coin. Okay. Matt Osty, what is up, my friend? Thank you for tuning in to the live stream. And yes, a midweek live stream today. Gotta hop on when I can, right? I love doing these streams, and it's a lot of fun to do analysis for you guys. High Tech Redneck, what is up, my friend and my brother? Good to see you tuning in today. Cover Flow, it's going to blow. Flow will blow. There's a good motto for that coin. Pull up the 5-day time frame and take a look at Flow. So I bet this one has bullish divergence. This is, again, very common. This is kind of what we were talking about with Casper. If a coin gets added or released to public exchanges during a bear market like this one did, this is 2022, and a massive crypto bear market, as a lot of you guys know, had started during that period in 2021 and 2022. Really late 2021 and into 2022. A lot of the cryptos were dropping during that period. So it's not bad. It doesn't mean that a coin isn't a good investment if the chart looks like this. If it was released to public exchanges during a bear market, everything was going down and everything follows each other. So it's pretty common to see this kind of a correction during a bear market if it gets released right at the beginning of one, right? And you can see that's exactly what happened here with Flow. Large correction all the way down to a really low level here. I mean, it was worth $34 and now it's worth 39 cents. So that's a pretty deep correction. But look at what's happening to the chart in terms of volume. So now we have a whole bunch of volume down here. Well, up there, we really didn't have any volume. Down here, people are interested. They're actually buying. And what I'm curious to see is if there would be any type of bullish divergence on the MACD, and there is bullish divergence on the MACD. So we have a low right here and a lower low right there. And on the MACD, we have a low and a higher low. So that's bullish divergence. Very, very common kind of structure in the market during like a massive correction. If you get like a huge correction like this, it's very common to see bullish divergence on the chart before a reversal happens. especially like on the weekly, the 5-day, the monthly, the 4-day, any of those bigger time frames, if you see bullish divergence on those after a huge correction, it's usually a really good sign that the market sooner rather than later will bottom out and start an uptrend. So I think flow will blow, as our fellow friend in the live stream chat was saying, and we should start to take off here pretty soon for this coin. Good day, mate. In TA, what wave are we on for silver for big and long-term picture? Silver, yes. I love talking about silver. Yeah, it's one of my favorite coins to talk, or not coins. Oh my goodness. It's one of my favorite commodities to talk about. I love silver. It's really cool. Let's pull up silver here and we'll talk about the chart for silver a little bit. So silver is actually a very, very straightforward analysis for this coin, or this commodity. I'm so used to crypto, I talk about it 90% of the time. Let's pull up the monthly time frame here. It's actually a very, very straightforward analysis. We're going to pull up the NASDAQ Composite Index, the IXIC, and I'm going to show you that silver is actually pretty much a spitting image of what happened during the internet bubble on the NASDAQ. So here's the NASDAQ over here on the right. Here is the internet bubble right here. And a lot of people talk about the internet bubble, but what a lot of people don't talk about is the recovery that happened after the internet bubble. We had a huge recovery in the markets, right? And what you can see here with silver is it's actually the same exact market structure in pretty much every single way. Silver also had a big kind of parabolic run back here from like 2003 until 2011, and then a bear market from 2011 until 2020. And then also had a double bottom right here, just like what happened to the NASDAQ as well. And then the NASDAQ started to recover out of that double bottom right here, just exactly like what's happening to silver as we speak. So in terms of a market cycle, we're starting to recover. We're starting to get up to our old all-time high, and we're really preparing for a break above that level. That level being $49 per ounce. And in terms of Elliott waves, in terms of the wave count for silver, the NASDAQ, this is wave 1, wave 2, and then we have this huge wave 3 right here, wave 4, and we're really starting our 5th wave here for the NASDAQ, which could still go higher. A lot of people are trying to call the top on the stock market, but realistically the stock market could go higher here, fairly, like quite a bit higher even. It could double in value still before it tops out inside of wave 5. So in terms of silver, silver's starting to break out for wave 3. So we have wave 1, wave 2, and we're getting ready for a breakout for wave 3, which is why we're seeing a strong recovery in silver and why we're getting close to that old all-time high level, and why we're preparing to break above that old all-time high level, because that's what wave 3 will do, is a break above that level. So that's my view on silver. What do you think about Sol? Is that a good coin to buy? Yeah, I do actually like Solana. Solana is also kind of the same thing as what happened to the internet bubble as well. In terms of the market cycle, it's pretty much the same thing. Let's pull up silver, or not silver. Let's keep the NASDAQ over here. We'll pull up Solana, and we'll put our NASDAQ chart over here on the right. And what I want to show you here is, let's Let's do the 2-week time frame. It'll be a little bit better. What I want to show you here with the NASDAQ on the right and with Solana over here on the left is how markets always have cycles. It's the same kind of thing that you see in the markets over and over again. Internet bubble over here on the right and Solana over here on the left. Parabolic run, recovery after a bear market. Markets have cycles. It's the nature of markets. That's what they do. And you can see what happened here with the NASDAQ is that strong recovery that we were talking about when we were comparing to silver. And we're starting to see that same kind of a strong recovery here on Solana. Obviously, there was a smaller double bottom down here. Sometimes with the altcoin markets, you don't get nearly as pronounced of a double bottom as what happened over here with the NASDAQ, but there was still a double bottom down there before the market recovered. And even right here, crypto is a lot more volatile than the stock market is, but you can see that the NASDAQ also had a correction near its old all-time high. And same with Solana. We had a correction near its old all-time high. So what I think is going to happen here with Solana is a continuation of that uptrend and more upside all the way to a new all-time high again and higher highs and higher lows, a continuation of that uptrend. So that's all I can do for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. I better head off. Normally I do like an hour and 15 minutes, but today I have a class I'm going to called Institute where you get to learn all about Jesus Christ for like an hour and a half. It's one of my favorite things to do. And yeah, so I better head off so I'm not late, but thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love you. I appreciate you. I look forward to seeing you guys in future videos and live streams. And as always, stay profitable out there.